A new day, another build. Well, on this phase of the Enterprise 350 refit, we're going to do the recreational deck, or rec deck, not to be confused with the poop deck. In the kit, doesn't come with a rec deck. The only way you can get something like that is aftermarket. If you got the photo etch set, you'll have this version of it, but we're not doing this one. Now out there's some decent 3D printed versions of it. I can't really name all the ones off the bat. I think HDA Model Works has one. Hobbyworks has one. I think Shapeways has got one. I ended up buying one as I was accumulating parts for this kit. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Shapeways. It's this one right here. Honestly, I meant to get the one that has the roof and the railing back here, like you see in the motion picture. Even in the film studio model, you can see the railing through the windows. But it was my mistake. But I think this is actually a blessing in disguise, getting this one without the railing and the roof. Mainly because the railing could possibly in here not make it hard to actually see all of this, so it would be kind of almost pointless. But I also hear it's really not that bad. And also, I guess some people are having issues, the one with the roof on it, that when you go to put in the saucer, it's just too thick. The saucer has a hard time to close. So this might be a blessing in disguise. I'm going to run with this anyways. But I did thought about how to get a roof. So I think I'm going to marry both the photo etch and this together. I think I'm just going to reuse the roof section here, because if you actually lay this out, I mean, you can just put the bottom of it just on the bottom of it. You know, it fits pretty much perfect. So if I just go ahead and just use the roof section of it, because the photo etch is very thin brass, it'll work. So I'm going to end up just cutting this off, keeping that, and we'll have a roof piece. As for accuracy, as lighting goes, of course, it's only going to be lit from up here, from the roof itself. We have what you see straight on would be the view screen, the 5 other little illuminated photos of all the former Enterprises, which in this, it's only about, you won't be able to tell what the heck that is. It is so small, it's like a sharp tip of a pencil thick. There's no way you can actually get an actual image that small. Well, you can, but you have to use a microscope to see it. So it'll just be lit in some way. These side columns here, what I think I'm going to do is, because on this piece here, if you look at where they go, it's got a nice radius. So I think I'm also going to reuse some more clear sprue and use that as like glass on the inside over here. For the view screen, I'm actually going to kind of do my own little thing here. Not use a decal. Well, it's, as you can tell, it's open. It's completely open. So I'll put either a piece of clear plastic or polystyrene or something. But I will kind of do my own little thing on the view screen. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but I will. Other sources of lighting, if you also see in any of the images from the motion picture of this area here, on the bottom of each of these 6 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's illuminated on the very bottom, and also there's like supposed to look like a light illuminated from underneath each entryway. But I think the entry one is pretty much impossible to do at this scale. So, but the 3 on each side is sort of achievable. It's gonna be a little difficult, but it looks to be achievable. Color wise, floor is gonna be that same color as the furniture as I did on the officer's lounge, and it's terracotta, which I'll end up I think that's what I'll end up spraying all in here first as far as color wise, and then do all my accents. So that's pretty much the game plan for this. So I guess it's time to start getting to work. Basically just clean it up, get it light blocked, and we'll go from there. So I forgot before light blocking, the one thing that has to be done still is you gotta do some masking for those lights that are supposed to illuminate at the bottom. So as you can see here, I already got this set done, and I left out over here just to show you on how to do it. Pretty much similar to the way that if you go back to the last video on how I showed you how to mask for the groundwork for the arboretum on, you know, laying your tape or whatever, and just, you know, and basically on how I did the windows in that one, kind of similar. If you have fine line tape, that's even better. I just don't have any right now. So I just cut out a couple small little pieces. These are basically about less than 1/8 of an inch in length. The inside is the more critical, obviously, because that's what you're gonna see looking in as far as the outside. But I'm doing both sides because, well, in some way I gotta paint both sides. And by the way, these type of dental tools, so far I've been noticing this little son of a bitch has been, you know, comes in handy, let's put it that way. Especially for something like this. This is just ridiculously small. So the main priority, the important one is really the inside mask, then the outside, only because, you know, that's where all the real paint detail is going to happen, is on the inside. And of course this little piece is just a pain in the ass to deal with. Of course sometimes it's hard to figure out which is the sticky side of the tape too. Yeah, I have helping hands right here, but for some reason it just keeps coming loose. So I just need to get the tape just on it. Then I can manipulate it with this little pick. You know, push it in place. And then I can use it just to press it down. Like so. And then I got to do the inside of the pillars, which is not that critical. It's kind of like, it's kind of recessed in, so I made my little tape piece about twice as long, so I could just wedge it in there. And like I said, the out here doesn't need to be that critical, just as long as the light part is covered. So I just pop it in there, push it in, and it's just simple as that. So now I'm all masked up. Like I said earlier, I don't have to worry about these because these are just open. It's just here that I have to worry about. So now I can actually start light blocking. I'm going to paint this sucker black on both sides, and then we'll get into the fine painting and detailing. Okie dokie. Let's paint the floor. So let me just get out my little airbrush. Sure I got adequate pressure. Already have it mixed up. And the color is terracotta. A little test squirt. All right. Turn it so I don't get shadows. Ooh. Need a little bit more pressure. This piece is so light, the air just wants to pick it up and throw it around. Trying to make sure I get it back into the entry, the little doorway entryways. I could just shoot it from behind. Yeah, this piece is so light. Behind here, it's just really hard to get. Right. I may have to hold it with my finger for a sec. There you go. Try with my other hand to get this section. That helps. That helped a lot, really. I'll make sure I get good coverage. Still need to get inside this doorway. Yep. So, I say that's it right there. Paint is dry. What I also had to do was I had to go ahead and paint the ceiling piece of the rec deck, because when I went to go look at some screenies and just try to see what colors that are going to be needed, I saw the ceiling color, and I thought it was going to be some type of gray. It's actually the same color as the carpet, which is like kind of weird, but the shot I'm using to see it is off the rendering, so that's what I'm going with. So I had to go back and shoot this piece, but all I really need to concern now is deal with all this stuff. Pretty much all the rest of this is going to have to be done by hand, because the masking, just to try to get up and around all this little stuff, is extremely tedious, and I think my hands are steady enough to do it. So I'm going to start with the pillars. The pillars are basically two colors, a type of tan and basically metallic, something like steel, so I'm going with the tin color. Screenshot of it so I can go back and look as reference. But basically above the doorways is where it's supposed to be silver, and 3 of it's supposed to be the tan. So just kind of go ahead and start doing that. I guess we can go with the tan, because that's white. So basically I'm going to be working outside in. Outside in is anything that's recessed is where I'm going in first, because then I'm going to probably have to dry brush the detail that's on the outside. I'm going to try to do the best I can so you can see what I'm doing. I'm left-handed, but So, what I gotta say about that. The tan color I'm using is called suede, by the way, if you're curious on wanting to know that. Actually, I'm going to need the special magnifying set. This is going to be like really detailed. And for this type of work, the best thing to do is just relax as much as you can. Get very comfortable. Because if you don't, that's where your hands can start shaking. And just be patient. Get zen and just go, oh. If you need to smoke some weed, you can do it. Hold on. That one I'll go for the silver. Yes, I'm left-handed, but I'm painting with my right. This is the only place I really see the painting. Like this. These 6 columns really. Too much paint on that, on my brush right here. Just kind of a party. Some of this off. Pull some of the excess. Man, that is enough for the tan. And they're in those pillars. In between the doors. Now, because I'm right next to the pillars and they're wet, I'm not going to do the silver. I'll just do something kind of away from it. What I'm thinking about doing is dealing with some of the black that goes on the floor. Basically, the electronic bowling alley and the tabletops. And I'm using a gloss black for that. Now the detail I don't think I'll be able to do is on the bowling alley, it's actually surrounded by like a white stripe. But that's even way too detailed even for how small this is.
Rock, stupid, I know, stupid microphone.
Other than just adding a little bit more white in areas where it's bleeding through, like on this front part of the wall, and fixing up that little gray spot where it had a tiny little dab down this bottom corner down here. If you can see it. Overall, I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit and touch it up, and then it'll be kind of time for some mods. Well, next thing to do is to put the rec deck together with a couple little mods. To discuss the mods is we'll just go to the back wall, which I only one thing I did off camera just to experiment. And I put a little Easter egg in is the view screen in the top. I used a piece of scrap, like packaging plastic, which comes in handy too. So it's free and whatever. So I cut a small little piece, I glued it in the back, and instead of using a decal, I wanted to do, like I said, my own Easter egg. Kind of hard to see, but if you can kind of get what I try to create in there, it's basically movie night of a classic. So that's what I did for the view screen. Now for below it, for where the lit up pictures of the old Enterprise is, did kind of the same thing. Cut a piece of this out, And then I took my heat gun and I kind of rounded it, and the reason why is on the back side it's rounded, so that way it would kind of fit better. So I just took a little piece and I found something that had a curve that's pretty much the same thing. For me it was just a metal rod, but you can use like a thick screwdriver, you know, end of a Sharpie, a pencil, thick part of a screwdriver, whatever, a dowel, whatever you got. But like I said, just took a heat gun, heated it up till it got really soft, folded over, held it, took a couple minutes to cool, and it stayed its shape. So I got this, and I also painted it transparent blue. So that fits over well. And as far as where the little two side little, I don't think they're turbo lips, but they're nice little column lights. Go into the kit and go cut off a couple pieces of clear sprue. There's sprues in there that actually fits the diameter of this pretty well. So I got a couple pieces already cut out, ready to go in there. And for back here, as far as the clear plastics go, I'm using Canopy for that because it'll dry clear and it won't. And model glue, of course, you know what it does. Same thing with CA glue. It tends to mess up the clear part. So Canopy only on the clear stuff. Then after I get all that put in, I'm going to put in this thin piece of polystyrene. I cut out a little strip of it, the thinnest I can get. I forgot what gauge it is, but it's really thin. And I'm just going to put it on the back over like this, only because I'm kind of worried that because the saucer is going to be really lit up on the inside, and I don't want this to be overly lit up. So I'm kind of putting this on there to help diffuse and to dull it down a little bit. But I'm going to leave it to where I can modify it if it's not bright enough, especially on the view screen in the center. That's mostly what I'm worried about. I'm not going to glue that to anywhere back here. If I have to, I could just cut it out in the center and just leave it over here, because I think these just don't, the two end columns, they don't need to be overly bright, because if they're too bright, you know, you're not going to be able to see the separation in it all. It'll just look like a bright white light. It's really, to me, it's supposed to just to accent it a little bit. Literally everything in this little rec deck, all the lighting is supposed to be accented. So that's how I'm going to deal with the back wall. Now, on the sides, of course, you know, it's already going to be lit from the saucer, and you can, I don't know if my flashlight will show it to you, but let me see. I don't think it will do that great, but I'm trying my best. But trust me on this. The little parts that I masked on painting for the bottom of the columns, it actually goes through pretty well. I had to do a little bit of scraping because sometimes paint will bleed through, so I took my little favorite dental pick tool, whatever. You know, this little something, you know, just cleaned it up a little bit, scraped it away on both sides. And I don't have to worry about diffusing any of that. This 3D resin print is already, you know, it's already diffused in itself. So just, like I said, that just came out pretty well. And now for the roof, of course, this is all ready to go. I use the same piece of polystyrene that I'm using for the back, and I'm just going to, you know, lay it over the top on the outside, so where it's just like that, and that's it. And it's so thin, you know, it's plain. It's just plainy. Plus, I want it thin anyways. Like I said earlier, that some of the other 3D printed kits where it has the roof maybe too thick. Well, I'm trying to keep this thin as possible, and to make sure there is some way for light to get up and over and into here. But I guess I'm not going to know that until we get to part of the saucer build. So for now, just want to get this one finished up. So I think I'm going to start with is dealing with the back wall. I'm going to use my helping hands here. Hopefully this thing will stay tight. Alrighty. Put a little bit of canopy on, kind of like where those windows, well, where the column is at. Literally actually off to the edge. I'm going to use my little dental tool just to kind of push it over. Good thing about canopy, it dries clear. That one's in place. Oop, almost grabbed the CA. The CA is for the photo edge part, by the way. As a reminder, canopy only on clear plastic. CA is good to plastic to the photo etch. Really, the model glue is really just for polystyrene to polystyrene. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit more of this canopy and just reinforce the back. Because polystyrene dries clear. Okay. So that's for there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of CA, because the CA is better for resin to polystyrene, which the 3D printed is. So I'm only going to put it on the ends. And I'm not going to even bother kicking this, only because I have to let it sit anyways because of the canopy glue here, because that takes longer to set. I'd rather just be patient and just let this do its thing. So for me, I just gotta wait for this to be dry enough to handle, mainly the canopy glue, and then put the roof on, and then this part will be done, and then we get to do another video. You know what? I just realized I forgot to put in that little blue piece. So I just popped that open before it actually got a chance to set, and I set the little blue piece in there. And I'm just going to canopy glue it as well. And then we can seal back up. Look, I caught that in time. Okay, back down it goes. Okay. Crisis averted. Lucky I caught that in time. About to walk away and I noticed, oh yeah, I forgot about you. So now the back end is done. Now we can let it dry. I'm an idiot. Don't let you guys do stuff like that. So the last thing now to put on is the ceiling. See. Taking a little dab on the ends. I'm using the medium thickness. And if it runs off anywhere, it's going to be on the outside as opposed on the inside. That looks good. Give it a little bit of a zap. Now for the polystyrene piece. Don't need too much. And I'm not putting any on this grid piece because I don't want it to flow out and over. There we go. Now I got to address this little gap here, but I don't think I'm going to do that until I know that when this thing goes into the rec deck and I see how well the writing, well, that's kind of a dumb thing to say how this thing goes in the rec deck. This is the damn rec deck. When this thing goes into the saucer section, I can see on how when I get to that phase of when it has its light in, and I can put it in there and see if this is overly bright or not bright enough, if I have to make adjustments. If I, like I said, if I have to cut this middle section out, because I don't want to go ahead and fill all this knowing that I may have to cut that part out. But that's the stuff that I can just wait and do that until then. But overall, yes. Let me see if I could do it with my camera phone. You go ahead and probably just leave the light on. So that's that, and we'll see how that looks through in there. Maybe see if we can do this. You get the idea of what I'm trying to go for as far as the pillars. I mean, I haven't got to do the roof part myself, but yeah, I think that looks good. So with this done, it's the close for this video, and the next video is going to be the final interior spot, the big one, you know what it is, the shuttle bay.